from the National News Studio, Sri Lanka.
A very good evening. Welcome to the National News Broadcast. I'm Malsha Dharmavardhana.
I'm Charita Minaprarachi, and now let's move on to the headlines for tonight's news. The President requested the public to make maximum contribution for the endeavour of creating bright future for young generation. About 2 million pilgrims are expected to visit Anuradhapura in the Pozon week. The government has focused attention to lift the import ban on 400 items. Talks are underway to reduce price of cement by 300 rupees. Measures will be taken to expedite investigations on the complaints with regard to missing persons. Mexican police discovers 45 parcels of human remains.
On to those and other stories in detail now, starting with your local stories. The President, Ranil Wickremesinghe, reiterates his command to prevent any regression of the country to its previous state, emphasizing his determination to transform Sri Lanka into a fully developed nation by 2048.
The President made these remarks during a special statement to the nation presenting the National Transformation Roadmap to the country. The President explained at length the measures taken by the government in the past 9 months to assist the Sri Lankan economy to recover, as well as the next stages in the state's social, economic and political reform agenda. President Wickremesinghe also presented the operational proposal to the country to achieve the desired goals. The country's development has been based on 4 primary pillars: fiscal and financial reforms, investment drive, social protection and governance, and state-owned enterprise transformation. President Ranil Wickremesinghe also states that a joint mechanism would be established to solicit private sector suggestions to accomplish the technical and long-term efforts necessary for the country's economic transformation. The President stated that if the country's economy is not altered to reflect the current world and modern technologies, the country will regress and become an economic colony. President Ranil Wickremesinghe highlighted that the administration is always devoted to achieving positive outcomes for the country, despite the fact that this reform program is difficult. He said, no matter how tough and painful the decisions that have to be made, only by adopting the correct policies on the challenging route will it be possible to uplift the country for future generations. President Wickremesinghe celebrated the tangible progress already achieved, emphasizing that everyone is now reaping the rewards of hard work, dedication and progress. Notably, the inflation rate has declined from a staggering 70% to a more manageable 25.2%. The President expressed his satisfaction that the country is beginning to experience relief from the economic pressure.
The Governor of Central Bank, Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe, says that although the Central Bank had earlier projected 2.0% contraction in the economy in 2023, it is now expecting the growth to land somewhere close to zero level by the end of the year. He pointed out that domestic economic activity is expected to bounce gradually from late 2023.
The economic projection, I think in our annual report, our projection for this year is still will be a contraction by overall annual at a -2% projection, which is mainly based on the first quarter. There's a large, still they are negative. Second quarter also is more negative. I think we think quarterly basis we will turn around the growth into positive territory in Q3 and Q4. As a result, there will be a much lower, close to zero contraction. I mean, right now this is our prediction, but to wait and see that economic activity, pessimistic index, all these early indicators will tell us that they need to revise it further. Hopefully, I think there's a bit of upside risk to even this -2 projection right now, as you can see. Exchange rate, as I said earlier, is a market-determined exchange rate based on demand and supply. The one thing I want to share, there are a lot of analysts and even international news lines have their own predictions. Even today I saw a Bloomberg report saying Sri Lanka's rupee rally may falter a 17% slide. They are predicting rupee to decline to 350. That's a Bloomberg, not mine. They are quoting Standard Chartered and BMI. They also had similar prediction reported in March. I think this dated 9th of March. Say that Sri Lanka rupee to reversed and plummet 23%. Pitch Solutions, quoting Pitch Solutions, saying it will plummet to 390. So, it's okay. Anyone can predict their own analysis. It's the credibility of the analysis that what matters. And what we are warning is that people who believe in these predictions, if they make their decision based on these kind of predictions, they got their hands burned. So our warning is, do have your own analysis and look at the outlook and look at what we say. We have the most information, and it's the market determined exchange rate. The demand is going up, exchange rate will depreciate, it's supply. So I guess these predictions is like people can be misled by like pyramid schemes. People can be misled by this kind of predictions, and if they make decision, our warning is that please be careful.
And meanwhile, Mr. Kenji Okumura, Deputy Managing Director of the International Monetary Fund, says Sri Lanka's economy is showing tentative signs of improvement, in part due to the implementation of critical policy actions, but it is essential to continue the reform momentum by both the authorities and the people. Mr. Okumura, issuing a statement yesterday in Colombo at the conclusion of his visit to Sri Lanka, underscored the importance of decisive implementation of structural reforms which can attract investment and boost growth. IMF Deputy Managing Director's visit followed the approval on March 20, 2023 by the IMF Executive Board of 48-month arrangements of about $3 billion under the extended fund facility with Sri Lanka. He thanked the President and other stakeholders for their hospitality and parliamentarians and representatives of the private sector for their engagement. He appreciated the constructive decisions he had during his visit, which allowed him to deepen his understanding of the challenges Sri Lanka is facing and to reiterate the IMF commitment to support Sri Lanka's efforts to surmount these challenges. Mr. Okumura further stated that he welcomed the authorities' strong commitment to implement the ambitious economic program which is supported by the IMF. State Minister of Finance Ranjit Siambalapitiya says that about 300 to 400 items that are temporarily suspended will be allowed to import from the next week. A ban on the import have been imposed over 1,200 varieties of commodities. The State Minister told the media that they are considering the commodities that will be given permission to import. State Minister of Finance Ranjit Siambalapitiya said that US dollar, which was at around 200 rupees, was at once appreciated up to 360 to 370 rupees. At such a crucial time, the government has to limit imports. The Finance Ministry controlled exports by imposing restrictions to strengthen the dollar reserve. The government has been able to accumulate about $3 billion reserve at present. Now the ministry is considering to ease some restrictions on imports. However, restrictions on non-essential items and the items that can be manufactured locally will remain unchanged.
Meanwhile, the State Minister of Finance, Ranjit Siambalapitiya says, Trade Minister Nalin Fernandez says that talks were held to reduce price of cement by 300 rupees. At a press briefing held in Colombo yesterday, he expressed his views in this regard. Trade Minister Nalin Fernandez said that he has discussed with all cement manufacturers company that they have agreed to provide relief to consumers. Accordingly, price of 50 kg pack of cement will be reduced by an amount between 300 rupees and 500 rupees. As the Sri Lankan rupee appreciated against US dollar, consumers in the country should receive some benefit. Now, the police say that special security program is now underway in Anuradhapura, Mihinthalaya and many other sacred sites during the Puson week.
About 4,000 security officers, including the police, have been deployed for security duties. Anuradhapura District Secretary Janaka Jasundara says that they expect to about 2 million devotees and pilgrims in Anuradhapura and other areas during this period. The Poson Week will commence until the 6th of this month. Large crowds of devotees are already arriving in Anuradhapura to worship Atamastane, Mihintale, Tantirimale and many other sacred places located in the area. Special buses and trains have been deployed for the convenience of the pilgrims. The Anuradhapura Poson Committee has decided to keep all liquor shops and taverns in the Anuradhapura district during this week closed. Certain legal actions will also be taken to the persons who bring liquor to the district. There are about 26 tanks and reservoirs in the area, and pilgrims are requested to bath in the waters where the lifeguards are available. ChannelEye Rupavahini Corporation conducts the Poson Poi religious observances this year as well. They are scheduled to be conducted at the Aviation temple premises throughout the day. Saddharma Varsha Poson live broadcast will be carried out by the national television from 6 am on the Poi day. The national television invites all devotees to take part in the religious observances at the Abhayagiri temple premises in order to commemorate the arrival of Arahat Mahinda Thera in Sri Lanka on a Poson Poi day.
පින්බර සිතින් අභයගිරිය සෑරදුන් වන්දනාවට ඔබත් ජාතික රූපවාහිනිය සමග පෙළගැසෙන්න. සද්ධර්ම වර්ෂා
Sri Sambuddhaloka Poson Zone, organized by Amaraviru Piyagama, will commence from tomorrow to the 5th of this month. This year as well in Ranna and Beliyatta areas. This Poson Zone has been organized in line with the completion of 32 years of Minister Mahinda Amaravira's political career. Social services and many educational programs will also be held under this program. Exposition of sacred remains of Buddha, lanterns, pandals, dancers and Bhakti recitals has also been organized. 6 villages in Hambantota district are to be developed as agricultural entrepreneurship villages.
Dharma Rashmi Poson Zone, jointly organized by the state and private institutions, will commence for 3 days from tomorrow. This has been organized in Homagama and Pitipana areas as a concept of Minister Dr. Bandula Gunawardena. This is open for public from 6 p.m. to 12 midnight. An exposition of Buddha's relics will be held at the Sugata Bimbarama temple in Homagama. In addition, Western and Ayurveda medical clinics, blood donation campaigns, free distribution of books, Bhakti recitals and many events have been organized in line with the Poson Zone. Special train and bus services have also been arranged between Kosgama and Maharagama for the convenience of visitors. Moving on to more local stories, Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena says that the United Nations Vesak Day has proved a bright example on how to understand the global crises through Buddhist wisdom. Addressing the 18th UN Vesak Day festival in Thailand, the Prime Minister said innovative solutions can be drawn for present crises through the Buddhist policies.
The Prime Minister further said that Buddhist teachings stress the use of resources and the time in responsible and sparring manner for the well-being of human beings. The world has faced an unprecedented global pandemic that claimed millions of lives. Sri Lanka has implemented thrifty economic policies during the past 10 months to face the economic downturn. The Prime Minister further said that he expects blessings of all relevant factions to have the 19th UN Vesak celebration to be held in Sri Lanka.
Minister Vijayadas Rajapaksa says that investigations on complaints with regard to the missing persons will be completed before the end of the next year. The Office of Missing Persons have received about 21,374 such complaints. The Office for Missing Persons was established in 2016. It was set up following discussions with relevant international stakeholders in order to make justice for the parties that have been affected by the war in Sri Lanka. Investigations will be conducted over missing persons and certificates will be issued confirming whether disappeared or deceased. An office is also in action to pay compensation for the affected individuals. An office has also been set up on peace and reconciliation to prevent repetition of such ethnic problems in future. A bill will be drafted and passed to set up an organization on reconciliation in each village in the island. Minister Vijayadas Rajapaksa said that there are many problems faced by the displaced families during the war period. There are about 12,000 displaced who returned from India. 90% of problems of the people in the north have been solved at present. The compensation paid for missing persons have been increased from 100,000 rupees to 200,000 rupees. Chairman of the Office for Missing Persons Mahesh Katulanda said that the government cannot simply reject the problems faced by the family members of missing persons. The government should recover the damages caused to the families through the loss of their loved ones.
Controller General of Immigration and Immigration Harsha Ilukpitiya says that issuing passports online will commence from another 2 weeks. He revealed these facts at a press briefing held in Colombo today. Controller General of Immigration and Immigration Harsha Ilukpitiya said that nearly a period of 2 hours is needed to prepare a passport at present. The department has created a process to apply for a passport under online technology. The department expects to launch this new system within the next 2 weeks. In addition, facilities have been made for Sri Lankan citizens living abroad to apply online to extend their passports. Now, the Sri Lanka completes 75 years after ratifying the International Civil Aviation Chapter.
Sri Lanka signed the Chicago Convention on Civil Aviation on the 1st of June 1948, directing the civil aviation sector to naval heights. International Civil Aviation Organization was established in 1947. There are 193 member countries in this organization at present. Aviation is the best, safest and the most efficient transport mode in the world at present. The major reason for this development is the implementation of one signal regulatory system in air transport throughout the world under the International Civil Aviation Organization. The necessity of such an organization erupted following the end of the Second World War. Accordingly, representatives of 52 countries agreed to sign the international charter titled Chicago Convention on the 7th of December 1944, opening the avenue to establish International Civil Aviation Organization. Sri Lanka, a member of this organization, has successfully activated to develop the country's aviation industry with efficient management and productivity. At the International Civil Aviation Security Audit Research that completed recently, Sri Lanka has shown a 92% performance progress. Director General of Civil Aviation Authority P.A. Jayakanta says that this is a significant victory for Sri Lanka to have such an outstanding performance. And now let's move on to a few more local news items in brief. Several areas in Ratnapura and Kaludara districts have gone underwater to rise of water level in Kalu River due to heavy rain experiencing in the catchment areas. About 10 houses in Palindadura and Vallavatta areas have been affected by the floods. State Minister Ashok Priyantha says that government hopes to issue an international level birth certificate. He said that at a mobile service held in Anamadua Divisional Secretariat recently. The Development Lotteries Board introduced a special lottery ticket titled Other Vishesha Kotipati. It will be drawn on the 28th of this month. Several lottery winners were also provided with prizes by the chairman of the board, Ajit Naragala. Minister Prasanna Ranatunga appeared before the Human Rights Commission today. The minister stated that the commission questioned him regarding his house was set on fire by a mob on the 9th of this May last year. PNS Shah Jahan, a vessel belongs to Pakistan Navy, made an official berth to Colombo harbour today. Sri Lanka Navy received the vessel with traditional honours. The ship will leave the country on the 4th of this month. 27 dancing students from Ananda Shastra in Kotte were traditionally inaugurated as West dancers. The ceremony was held at the Iyampur Ganga Tilaka temple in Madivela yesterday. Stay tuned with international news after this break.
கணக்கில் அதிர்ஷ்டம் பெறும் எமது வீரனே நாடு விட்டு நாடு சென்று வென்ற தோழனே பீப்பிள்ஸ் ரெமிட்டன்ஸ் மூலம் வென்ற சூரனே உழைப்பினாலே கடமை செய்த பொறுப்பாளனே கோடி அதிர்ஷ்டம் அல்ல முன்கூட்டிய வாழ்க்கையை வெல்ல பீப்பிள்ஸ் ரெமிட்டன்ஸ் வரமே கோடி அதிர்ஷ்டம் தருமே
வாராந்தம் 1 லட்சம் ரூபாய் மாதாந்தம் 1 மில்லியன் ரூபாய் ஆண்டுறுதியில் மாபெரும் சீட்டெடுப்பில் 1 கோடி ரூபாய் உட்பட மேலும் பணப்பரிசுகளை வெல்லுங்கள். பீப்பிள்ஸ் ரெமிட்டன்ஸ் கோடி அதிர்ஷ்டம் நேரடியாக அனுப்புங்கள், பெரும் வெற்றி காணுங்கள்.
Welcome back. Taking a look at your international news. Mexican authorities have found 45 bags containing human remains in a ravine outside the western city of Guadalajara.
Officials were searching for 7 young call center workers who had been reported missing last week when they found the bodies. The remains include men and women, and the number of bodies is not yet known. The search is expected to continue for several days because of difficult terrain and poor lighting. Firefighters and civil defense are working with police and a helicopter crew to recover the remains. The Russian region of Belgorod has again come under attack from across the Ukrainian border, which at least 8 people reportedly hurt in shelling. Russia's defense ministry has also claimed that thwarted other attempts by Ukraine to invade the region. White House officials say that the US President Joe Biden is fine after tripping and falling over at an event in Colorado. He stumbled on a sandbag while handing out diplomas at a graduation ceremony for the US Air Force Academy.
Wing, 10 shot. Mr. President.
Mars is making its live streaming and will reveal itself in a world new light today at 11:45 a.m. in Eastern Time. The European Space Agency estimates it will take about 18 minutes for the light need to form the images to travel directly from Mars to Earth.
Welcome back. Taking a look at your sports news. Afghanistan won the first ODI against Sri Lanka by 6 wickets. This is the highest follow-on victory by Afghanistan against the test-playing team in a one-day international match.
The match was played at Hambantota Suryapava International Cricket Grounds. Matisha Patirana and Dushan Hemant were included to the Sri Lankan squad as debutants. Afghanistan won the toss and elected to field first. Sri Lanka scored 268 runs all out in their 50 overs. Sharita Zalanka scored 91 runs. Dhananjay De Silva scored 51 runs. In bowling, Fazalak Farouk and Farhid Ahmed claimed 2 wickets each. In reply, Afghanistan passed the victory target in 46.5 overs for the loss of 4 wickets. Ibrahim Sadran scored 98 runs. Rahmat Shah scored 55 runs. The second ODI between the two teams will be played on Sunday.
And with that, we conclude tonight's news on Rupavahini. Join us tomorrow at the very same time. Good night.
Good night.